Close to perfect as it gets, Rabbi, in my book and my family. We love you very, very much. And we are so privileged to have you and Marsha in our lives. And I wish you only good things and blessings.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you. I wish I could live up to those words. I'll try to live long enough so I can make some impact somewhere along those lines. But thank you very much. Thank you for saying it. I remember your late dad, and of course, Chaim, your dear mom, with love and cherished friendship of many, many decades. So go back to the very beginning of the shul in '63. Joe used to come and give us his expertise before Yom Tov of how to put the few rows we had into that dining room, and those memories last forever. And you have given us such reason to be proud over these last 5 decades. As you may not know, friends, that Dennis is the professor of cardiology at NYU in New York, which he does on the side. Otherwise, he travels. He does Vasim Tevin. He's involved in many charities all over. And it's a privilege to call you my friend, our friend. Marsha feels exactly the same way. And we had nothing could have been nicer for us than to hear your few words right now. And please extend our love to your family, to Mara, to Elaine, to all the members of your family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Gail. How are you? Gail.
Yeah.
Right, okay, let's start. Okay. Okay, the first time. I was wondering where I would go today, and it kept changing all the time. I wanted to finish a Mishnah. We have done 4 or 5 Mishnahs. We're up to Mishnah Vov, and counting the introduction of Kol Yisrael.
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
Are you there?
Dennis, can you hear me?
No, I just hear you now. I lost it for a minute.
Okay, I think we got to go.
Bobby and Ziedy.
I can hear you now.
Okay, so I think our in-laws'
Let me just try and get a hold of
internet has gone down. So just wait a minute. We'll start again.
Okay.
Give it 30 seconds.
Thank you for the honor, David.
You spoke beautifully, Dennis. You really spoke magnificently.
In the meantime, while we're waiting for my father-in-law to come on, why don't you just give us a little bit of a insight into what's happening in America? I think it's a bit divided at the moment. That's what I pick up between the lines.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that correct?
Sure. Is this me and you, or is this everybody's listening?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Look, we're in a situation that's very sad because we've got division. We've got a real problem. We've got 2 huge problems. We've got a virus and we've got a movement of people that are very upset about what's going on. And they 2 have collided at a time where we seem to be improving, in terms of getting a hold of the virus. And then all of a sudden, there became there are 2 things that happen: social unrest, and also people, the way pandemics end is, one, because you actually get a grip on the virus. And so you actually have a reduction in cases and death rates. But you also get an end to a virus when people get sick of it and they've had enough. They come out. There was a great article that was written about this. They come out and they say, we're done with it. And they come out and they forget that we're not done with it. The virus is not done with us. You have to socially distance and wear your mask. And we can talk later, but those are very, very important things. And that has not happened for many, many people. And they try to reopen, but when you reopen and there are bars and restaurants, people are not being careful. We're seeing a huge increase in cases. There was a lot of social unrest. People were close together, arm in arm. And we're seeing the consequences today. But we got a terrible political situation. Every country's got its stuff. But in America, where you have freedom of speech and freedom to practice and do what you want, you realize it's going to be division. If you look at countries like China and even Japan and South Korea, these other countries, the government says, you're going to do this and this and this, and people do it. In America, when someone says that, if they don't like that, they don't believe it, or they don't trust it's good advice, they won't do it. And there are people doing stupid things. So that's the bottom line. We've got to be sensible. We got to have common sense. You can't be, this is not a time to be a rebel and say, I'm not wearing a mask. My mother, as you know, has just come out of hospital in South Africa with COVID at age 88. And honestly, a miracle. She made it. And I put it down to Baruch Hashem, all the prayers, because her chances were slim.
Unbelievable, really unbelievable.
And how is COVID-19 in America? What's with the lockdown?
Mom?
So is the rabbi back? Because we can talk afterwards. I don't want to miss his wise words. Oh, shame, man. That's terrible. So COVID-19 in America, the case rate is going up significantly. Right now, we haven't seen a huge spike in the death rate. So one of the questions is, why is the case rate going up? And one of the reasons is because we are testing much more. You know, we're testing. If you test more, you're going to find more. But there is an increase in the rate, and there are more young people getting it. It's very, very concerning. So we have a situation now where we're not in control of it. I was just looking at South African numbers. It seems to be coming.
I'm going to push this discussion to the end. My father-in-law's back. Over to you.
Okay, well, here you are.
Then you see something, you're giving a great shiur. I can't match it.
No. You got the floor, you got the microphone, you got everything.
All right. So as I was saying, when we talk about Torah, everyone knows you mean the Chumash. What is the Chumash? The 5 books of Moshe. Right? The 5 books of Moshe. We have another name for it. We call it the written Torah, Torah Shiriksav. In other words, a believing Jew believes that these 5 books of Chumash of the Torah were dictated by Hashem to Moshe at Sinai, word for word. That's why they're so holy. That's why they're so special. That's why one letter is missing in the Torah. You can't use it. And that's why we go crazy trying to reconcile anything that smacks of a contradiction of any kind. In other words, we can spend a lifetime trying to find the truth of the Torah. But that's Chumash, okay? But the Chumash itself doesn't tell us how to be a Jew. If you
What a shame.
Now, normally it's been quite good. I just want to welcome Wendy Fisher. I see Wendy's joined.
Yeah, I told Wendy, jump on. That's so nice. What a pity that we're having problems. Well, we have to have a repeat. I won't have to introduce him again, but you know what? I don't want to. It was such a pleasure to. Is it because of load shedding?
This hasn't happened often. I'm just checking now.
It went off again. Yeah, what's happening? What's going on?
Marsha, just check your just check your internet over there, how strong the connection is, your Wi-Fi.
Maybe I'm going to go on the phone now. Get connected. 1 second. Let me go here. You don't have load shedding. Do you have load shedding? No, we don't have load shedding. Okay, so let's just do it on the phone.
Yeah, we can just listen.
Okay. Waiting to join. Connecting. call it internet. Okay, so you have me unmute. Okay,
Okay.
you have it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, yes.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear Daddy?
Hello?
Okay, yes, we can hear you. And now let's start the shiur. Your video's gone off. Marsha, put your video on if you can.
Hello, Mom. Dad.
Oh, we can.
Hello.
Can you hear us? Kaya,
Yes. Yes. We hear you.
you hear?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Can't see you
Okay,
though.
so maybe you'll just have to talk without it. I can't get the video on. Yes, damn.
To start the shiur without the video.
Okay. Talk. The host is asked to start. Okay.
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 There we go. We see you.
You see him?
Yes.
Do
We
you?
we see you now. Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
yep.
Okay. So talk. We don't see you, but okay, go.
All right.
Speed.
I just have to put my thoughts together so that they follow in some form or another. All right. So let's go like this. We're going to cut to the bone. So in other words, we have something called Chumash, word of Hashem, dictated word for word, Hashem to Moshe. But that doesn't tell us anything about it. It's missing an explanation, a basic explanation, detail. Such detail without which it would be meaningless. So Moshe Rabbeinu spent 40 days and nights at Sinai learning the Torah Sheba'al Peh. Hashem taught him the oral law, which in plain language is explaining the written law. He told him exactly what does Shabbos mean, what does Phil mean, what does everything mean. In other words, Judaism, as we know it, was taught by Hashem to Moshe at Har Sinai. Okay, now comes this, right? And all this, of course, was revealed at Har Sinai. Came the Sinai Itzik revelation, and Hashem brought all this down to this world. Till then, it wasn't in this world. It wasn't on this world altogether. Right? So the point is this: eventually, after, as we covered in Mishnah, which we're not going to get a chance to look back on because we lost some time now. Why don't I say it as follows? The Mishnah presents a value system which is open to every person in the world, every Jew, every person, not every Jew, who wants to be involved. Now, furthermore, the Mishnah, as a book called Mishnah, is halacha, only law. We are learning Pirkei Avos, not about law. This is character building. Aristotle also wrote a book. We prefer this one. But the fact of the matter is, this is not law. This is human growth, human development, human behavior, how to be a mensch. Right? So in other words, that's not part of Mishnah. The Mishnah that you know about, which covers the whole Shas and the whole Shulchan Aruch, is a legal system. Legal system came down through Moshe. Same channels, same sources, but it is a legal system. And what we're talking about here is outside the legal system. So outside the legal system, we developed a plateau of values, which we believe comes from Sinai. We believe comes from Hashem. Therefore, is as holy as anything else. Is as holy as the Chumash, because we believe it comes from Hashem. Right? If it was a human mind, a human thought, no, we don't have to. We can do whatever we want, take it or leave it. We're not saying that. If it was a Torah given to Moshe at Sinai, either written or oral, it's divine law. And to us, Mishnah is divine law, and Pirkei Avos is divine law. So the character development and the character growth that you have in Pirkei Avot are telling us all about what a human being can be, if he wants to. Of course, everything is if he wants to. But there's a world out there. There's a dimension that we're being exposed to. Do we want to join it? And if we do, to what extent? How badly? And if we're really serious, we can do it. Now, I thought I would share with you an anecdote which I shared with you the last time we learned, because you can tell these stories day and night. But at the end of the day, they're only stories, unless they're only stories unless one makes it his business to become part of it. There was a very famous Rav who lived around 300 years ago, who was called the Dubna Maggid, in English, the Maggid of Dubna. The Maggid of Dubna wrote quite a number of books, and he was famous for his parables, what we call a moshel, the Misholim of the Dubna Maggid. Right? Misholim of the Dubna Maggid is legend. So one day they approached the Dubna Maggid and they asked him, tell us, Dubna Maggid, how come we have a story for everything? How come whatever we're talking about, whatever subject, you have a mushal? And they're all dead on. They're all to the point. How does that work? And so the Dubna Maggid said, naturally, I'll give you a mushal. I'll give you a parable that will tell you exactly how. And he told them the following. He says, a man went out into the field one day, field, forest, whatever you want, and he saw an archer. You know, an archer is a guy who shoots with a bow and arrow into a tree. And the more he looked, the more amazed he was. Because this archer was getting a bullseye, thank you. Every single shot was a bullseye. So finally he went over to the archer and he said, tell me, he says, I can't believe it. I never saw someone as brilliant as you are. How do you get a bullseye on every single time that you shoot? And he said, simple, he said. Simple, he said, you know what? I go around collecting stories. Every time I see a story that I believe relates to life, I collect it. And guess what? Then I come and I shoot the arrow into the tree and make a circle around it. So that's how it works. It's simple. I shoot the arrow and then make a circle around it, and it's a bullseye. And you know what he said? Life is full of bullseyes. Life is full of bullseyes. You can read it. You can read a newspaper and find a sermon. You can read Time magazine and find life's full of sermons. And Dennis was given a great sermon on what's happening in the world right around us a few moments ago while we were trying to get back in. So this is what the Torah is giving us, a chance to reach a certain plateau. We do, we don't, we want to, we don't want to. That's our business. Our business, and of course, it's a democracy. You can do whatever you feel like. Now, coming back to the Maggid, the mystics say, Rav Pam, the Shiur of Torah Das, I quoted him on this last time. They quoted the mystics, the Mekubolim. The Mekubolim said, in the words of that Mishnah, that the world is based on three pillars. It's a tripod of three: Torah, Aveda, Gemilut Chasadim. In other words, the third one is Chesed. Chesed is a key. Chesed is a tripod. It's a pillar the world rests on. Put it this way: we learned Chesed from Avraham Avinu, and Avraham Avinu taught us that a person not capable of doing Chesed, of reaching out to other people, is a cripple. He may be a physical cripple, or he's an emotional cripple, or both, but he's a cripple. And the world that goes through that is in the same boat. And a few more weeks ago, I quoted to you Rabbi Tversky, famous Rabbi Tversky, and the person so involved in abuse control. What did he say? He said as follows. He says, we live in a world where people will do anything for pleasure, anything. He says he's involved in alcohol abuse. He's involved in drug abuse. He says, if you say to the guy, look, you're killing yourself, you're dying, doesn't mean a thing. doesn't mean the thing to get another drink, another sniff, another piece of crack. He's ready to die. No big deal. The fact you tell him he's dying that doesn't interest him at all, because we live in another world. We live in a world where getting momentary pleasure this minute is all that counts. It's all that counts. So for that, I'm ready to pay any price. If the price is dying, okay. You're dying for a good cause. Now, these are value judgments people make without thinking about it. Nobody will think in such stark terms, harsh terms. We don't think that way. So here's the story about the Dun Maggid and the Rapam Coast, the mystics who used to say, a day without chesed, if a day passes a human being without doing chesed, it may be a good reason. You were busy, genuinely busy, supporting your family. You had every right to be busy. You should have been busy, but you didn't get around to do one chesed for one person in the course of a day. This is called a rotten day. No matter how else it was, this is a rotten day. This is a terrible day. Now, if somebody really thinks that way and acts that way, well, you can see, there's also no way you're going to have a rotten day. Anyhow, he tells a story like this. But the Dun Maggid. Now, the Dun Maggid was a human being like we all are. So how did he get to this station where he could react to a situation in a manner which would be so untypical for us? Well, no. Obviously, it didn't happen in a minute. Obviously, it was a well thought out decision over a long period of time by a very clever man. But this is the story, true story. Was it an old man is driving down, they drive those days, is walking down the street. And what does he see? An elderly blind man walking with a youngster, right? An elderly blind man walking with a young kid, and the young kid, of course, he uses the eyes. He's showing him where to go. And so the Dun Maggid attaches himself to these people, and makes them part of his life, takes them home. Takes them home, and they live with him. And they live with him. All right, live with him for a while. Doesn't say how long. And eventually the old man dies. So the Dun Maggid has this youngster there, has a youngster there, and what is he supposed to do with him? You know, we could think of a lot of things one could do, might do, and things one should do. But the Dun Maggid didn't think that way. So what did he do? He adopted the kid. He didn't have a formal adoption. I'm sure he didn't go anywhere to sign papers, but he made the child a member of his house. And he looked after that child for years. And he hired teachers to teach him Torah. He hired teachers. He taught him. He looked after him. He made him his own. And guess what? It took 40 years, didn't happen overnight. And all of a sudden, this young kid turned out to be one of the giants of the generation. The Shlomo Kluger. It was at Rod Galicia, an international name to this day, 300 years later. What made the Dun Maggid do that? Well, who would do that? Why should anyone do that? And the answer is no one has to do that. But he had entered a world that became basic. It became basic that you belong to another world, another society. And once you're there and you believe in that, you can go anywhere. Yeah. So that's a simple story that Dun Maggid repeated hundreds and hundreds of times. Speaking of chesed, Aziz Mishnayota, we had talked about chesed, hospitality. There are people who have that hospitality as well. There are individuals, and I know there is one, or I'm sure there is one, maybe more than one, in Johannesburg as well. But there are people who actually run homes for Mishlochim. They have a home, and it's open to any fundraiser from Israel who's here and needs a place to stay free of charge. Free of charge, including meals. The Valabosta of the house cooks for these people. They share their house with these people. These people don't necessarily know about the niceties of giving their host space. They weren't trained that way. They weren't raised that way, and they don't. And nevertheless, there are people who do that. And I saw an interesting quotation in Borough Park. This was in Borough Park, that in a house, a person had in his home had a number of flats available for the fundraisers were here from Europe. Mishlochim, proportion. But he didn't necessarily eat with them or hang around with them, but it was his house. He was there. And then one day, somebody comes over to the host, not knowing he's the host, of course, and he says, "Listen, Rabbi, I've been here for a few weeks. I was just wondering, can you tell me how long will I be welcome here?" So the host took him up on the challenge. He said, "Look," I said, I think I've been here longer than you have, and no one has ever started up with me. So I think you're pretty safe." There are people like that. Believe it or not, there are people like that. Not many, but there are people like that. There are people like that who set aside dining rooms, who do everything in their power so that somebody should not feel lost. Someone should feel. And these Mishnayot that we've been learning, we're talking about that. The Aniyim should be b'nei beitecha. In your house, a poor man should feel at home. Now, doesn't mean he's changing his manners. Doesn't mean he put on a clean shirt for you. Doesn't mean anything at all. It means that you empathize with this poor soul, this broken human being, and want to do whatever you can to alleviate his pain and his suffering. In doing that, you become a different person. As our sages said, far more than the wealthy man does for the person who receives his benefactions, does the host receive from the poor man himself. You receive their blessing, their brachas. Hashem hears the prayers and the brachas of those who are in need, and those who are in trouble. And so it's another dimension, and it's possible to enter that world. And it takes place in Israel, takes place in America, and I say it takes place here as well, not on a grand scale. Only people are there like that, but it can never be an accident. It can never be an accident because people have to go out of their way to make it happen. Now, let me just share with you one thing. Let's see. I came across a fascinating letter written by Rabbi Akiva, one of the giants of the previous generations. And to this day, Rabbi Akiva represents the highest levels of standard of Torah learning. And the senior yeshiva person who deals with the question of Rabbi Akiva and can possibly come up with an answer is at a blessed level. He's already blessed. And so there's an anecdote here, a fascinating letter written by Rabbi Akiva after his wife's death. It talks about the Mishnah. How does one respect a spouse? How does one respect a member of the family? And he wrote to his children in response to a proposal that he remarry. Right? He wrote to his children in response to a proposal. He says, "Do you consider me," said Rabbi Akiva, "so insensitive and heartless as to rush to accept the marriage proposal while still in mourning? Am I to forget the love of the beloved wife of my youth, with whom God allows me to raise upstanding, blessed children? The little bit of Torah in me is only due to her help. She carefully kept watch over my health and bore all the financial worries of our home so that I would not be distracted from the service of God. And now that she is gone, I am bereft and emotionally like a broken vessel. Who will pasture our young children, our young sheep? With whom shall I share my worries and find some respite? Who will care for me? Which human being knows better than I of her righteousness and modesty? Many times we held deep discussions on topics relating to the fear of heaven until the middle of the night." You hear that? You hear everybody say, so spoke of Akiva of his deceased wife. You know, it's another level out there, another dimension. You cross the line, you join the club, you make it your club, and then the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit. You can go as far as you want, etc. as you want. There's nothing to hold anyone back. Okay?
Yeah.
I think we'll stop here. And Mitzvah Shem next week, we start the next mission. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. What an
Thank
honor.
you.
Very much, staff.
You're the best storyteller ever. Ever.
You're the best listener, I think. I think you're the best.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you very
Dad.
much. Thanks
And
for
Marsha,
joining.
lovely to see you both. How often is this every week? Can I become a member of this group?
Twice a week.
Definitely
Twice a
come.
week.
Okay, David.
Yes, come.
Twice a week.
Okay, I look forward. Lots of
Okay,
love to
all
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And send
Thank you
best to
very
the
much.
family.
Okay.
Send best.
Bye.
Make it so short.
Was.